recording in progress now.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks, Abir. Thank you. So hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. So my name is Caitlin, and I'm one of the academic librarians here at UWS. There's a whole team of us, and our job is basically to make sure that you've got access to the content you need to get your PhD done. So whether that's books or journal articles or other materials, and also not just that you know how to find them, but also that you know how to use the different resources that are available to you. So my plan for today was a sort of quite broad session, talking generally about some of the different resources we've got and some of the different searches and databases, and maybe some tricks that you have as PhD students that undergraduates and postgraduates don't have, so don't tell them. If you've got anything in particular you'd like me to cover while I'm going over any of this, or if you've got any questions, feel free. I'll keep an eye on the chat, or if you want to just unmute and ask your question, that's absolutely fine. So I suppose, I guess a good starting question is, has anyone had a chance to use any, like the library website, the library materials at all? Have people found it okay, or are there any issues that people are sort of running into when they try and access materials? If not, then it's all grand. You don't need me. No, just kidding. Don't worry. Okay, right. Well, what I can do is I can show you some of our sort of general stuff, some stuff about finding books, journal articles, maybe some specific databases that might be useful for you. And if that prompts any questions, or you think, well, I tried that before and it didn't work, or something like this, just let me know. So what I'll show you first is our main library search. So sometimes it's called library search, sometimes it's called one search. It's the same thing. And it's a good sort of starting point to find access to library materials, because everything in it is full text access, and it covers books, ebooks, and journal articles as well. So if you give me a second, I'm going to share my screen and show you how you get to this. Again, you can let me know if this is a new page for you, or if it's something you've seen before. So give me 1 second, I'll just share. Okay, so hopefully my day, I'm sure my day is not new, but I'm just going to access it this way. So I can see. So yeah, I can see everything. We're great. So when you are logged onto My Day, you've got the library option in the left-hand side. You also have the library option in the middle of the page. They both take you to the same place. And so I'm going to click into here. There's something I'll come back to near the end called EndNote, which I don't know if anyone has come across yet or would like to know more about. I will come back to that in a bit. But in the middle of this page, we have a sort of library search. So you can click onto this and you can basically get through to a lot of our sort of resources from this page. Now, this is quite a general search. It's one we promote to sort of undergraduate students, so it's not like it's going to be a comprehensive search for a literature review. But if you're looking for what books and ebooks we have, if you're doing a quick article search, or if you want to know if we have access to a specific journal, this is the sort of website to come to. And again, it's on My Day under the library tab. Now, the first thing to do when you use this is to press sign in the top right-hand corner. And you'll pop your banner number and your password in. This is the bit where I panic because it's recording and I hope I don't show everyone my password, but we're okay. And when you're logged into this page, you'll see your name in the top right-hand corner. So always make sure you do that, particularly if you are accessing these resources from home, because a lot of the time, our electronic resources, you won't see the links unless you're logged in. You know, you might find an article and it will say we don't have the full text, when actually we do. It's just you need to be logged in. Now you can use this search bar in the main page to look for various things. So you can look for books, you can look for ebooks, you can look for journal articles. And to search for that, you basically would type in a couple of words and then pick what type of information you would like to look for. So if I just do something really broad, let me do, let's do leadership skills, just to show you. So when you search, you get 3 different options. So you get local searches at the top, and this is just to look for books and ebooks. So just to clarify that. This second one here is journal articles, and it is basically searching a sort of cross-section of lots of different databases and journals that we subscribe to. So it doesn't search everything we subscribe to, but it does search a kind of wide range of topics. Or you can search everything all at once. I usually pick one or the other. So I will very briefly show you just how you would find a book on our system. So you would click local searches, and when your results have loaded, you'll see I've got 221 different results, and there are different ways I can narrow this down. So on the right-hand side, we've got some different filters we can use. So if you are, you're based remotely, you're working from home, and you only want something that you can read online, you can tick this full text online button, and it will limit it to just ebooks. If you want something that's on the shelf somewhere, let's say you're at Paisley Campus Library and you want something that you can find on the shelf in Paisley, you can tick the box that says Paisley. So you also have the option to narrow it down by a certain date. This date is always really old. It always says like 1800. I don't think we have books from 1800, but if you only want the most recent books, you can change this date to whatever you want. So let's say I only want to look for books that are online. Let's say I'm working at home. I'll click full text online, and I'll just update my results. So now you can see I've got about 143. And you can see the thing about this is that it isn't just related to business. It isn't just related to education and social sciences. This search searches across all of our subjects. So which is why it's good for a quick search, but when you're doing a sort of detailed search strategy for a literature review, it maybe isn't the best. But to find books and to get started, it's really useful. Let's say, for example, you wanted to read this top book. Anything that says online access just means it's available online, usually as an ebook. And to access it, you click on the title, and then you usually have this link. So it says full text available, and then a link. And to access it, you click this blue link, and it opens in a new window. If you're logging in for the first time, at this point, it might ask you to log in with your UWS email address and password. So your sort of usual login details that you use to access your emails and your timetable and everything like this. I've already logged in today, so it just takes me straight through. On this page, you get details about the book. The important option here is the read online button. So if you click this, you can basically read as much of the book as you want, as long as you have sort of a working internet connection. Now with ebooks, there are ways to sort of speed up your reading. You've obviously got the table of contents on the left-hand side. So if you've got a specific section you want to look into, you can jump right there. A lot of them have this search option. And so if you want to look for a specific phrase within the book, a specific theory, something in particular you're looking for, you can search for it in here. A lot of our ebooks also have this kind of, on the top right-hand corner, there's this sort of speaker option, and it can read the book aloud to you as well. So if you prefer to listen to something rather than read it, this speaker sort of option is there for a lot of our ebooks. But you can essentially read this for as long as you've got a connection. Some ebooks will allow you to download portions as PDFs. Most of them look like this in that they're sort of online web pages. For some of them, you also have the option to download the book, which means that you can read the book offline, if you're going somewhere and you have bad signal or something like this. But just to warn you that this is always temporary. So usually you can only download the book for one day. And after one day, it magically deletes itself from your computer. So to be honest, I usually stick with reading online. But it depends what suits you. If you are looking for a print book, let me get rid of the online option. And if you're looking for something that's in print, you just scroll down for one that says available from, available from basically means that the book is on a shelf somewhere. And in this example, the book's on the shelf in Paisley. So you can click onto this. And now instead of a link, we get some details about the book. So where to find it. So we've got one copy, there's one on the shelf, and then we've got this number here, the call number, which basically tells us where on the shelf to find it. If you are not based at Paisley, let's say you're based at Lanarkshire and you would like to read this book, you can click reserve. And you can say you would like to collect the book at Lanarkshire and press request. And we'll just pop the book in the post for you and let you know. We'll email your UWS address when it's arrived. Again, you need to be logged in to see this reserve button, otherwise it doesn't appear. So that's another reason why it's really useful to log in before you start searching. That is a really quick overview of books and ebooks. I'm aware there's all sorts of more advanced stuff to look over, but I want to make sure you know the basics as well before I start talking about all the different databases that we have available. So if there's any questions about accessing books or ebooks at this point, feel free to throw them into the chat or just ask. Otherwise, I will move on. Okay, so you can also use this search to do a quick kind of journal article search. Now, if I show you, we found what, 221 results when we looked for leadership skills for books. What I can do is if I run this search again, and this time I change it to articles, so I'm going to go to local searches and flip it round, you'll see that there's going to be millions. So yeah, I got 500,000 journal articles this time. So often when you're searching for journal articles, you might need to be quite specific about what you're searching for. You know, books are often quite broad. They cover wider topics, theories, definitions. Journal articles are much more focused in their scope and what they're looking for. So often if you do a broad search, you'll get too many articles to sort of manage. And there are some sort of advanced search options we can use, and I'll briefly show you one today. We have this advanced search option, and this is available in most databases. It will look slightly different depending on which database you use, but you have the same idea for almost all of them. So if I click advanced search, what you'll see is instead of having one single search box, now we've got multiple boxes. And what we can do is we can split our idea or our topic into different boxes. I sort of think of it as like a Venn diagram. Hang on. I really need to have a picture of this as like my wallpaper or something because I use it all the time. So for example, you know, the Venn diagram, when you have the two overlapping circles. So let's say you're interested in leadership skills in small and medium enterprises, right? This first circle, your first idea might be all about leadership skills. And you've got your second idea, which is small and medium enterprises. What we're really interested in when we do our search is this bit where the two circles overlap and they cover both of our topics. And now when we do a sort of Google search, you just type in all your words, you type in a question and it spits out results that are sometimes useful, sometimes not. When we search for journal articles, we sometimes have to be a bit more focused in what we search for. So the advanced search often gives us that option. So basically, to replicate the Venn diagrams, I basically think of each line in an advanced search as a circle. So this is my first idea about leadership skills. Then you can see I've got a second line and it's linked it together with the word and. So and is a special database searching term. It's called Boolean logic. There's two options. You can do and, you can do or. And we use and to link two different things together. We're basically saying to the database, look, I only want things that include both of my topics. So for example, if I did something like this, and I do my search again, I mean, I can change the publication date, I can change the language. For now, I'm just going to leave it like this. If I press search, you'll see that hopefully my results should go down. There we go. So I've got rid of a lot of my results. I got rid of about what, 525,000 by adding a new idea. And now when I do my search, it should only bring me back results that have both of these ideas. There are other things you can do here. If I decided there's another word that describes leadership, you know, maybe I just say leadership, but maybe I decide management is also another word that I think is the same or it's similar. You can link them together on your database with the word or, so OR. So you can use or to link words that mean the same thing. So you put all the words that mean the same thing in one box. And then if you have different ideas, you put them in different boxes and you link them together with the word and. So that's sort of what I'm doing. It's not sort of, it is what I'm doing here. So you can see even just adding an extra idea or an extra term can bring your results right down. The more ideas you add, the sort of smaller your numbers will become. So if you do a search and you get, you know, 1 million results, you probably want to add a new idea. If you do a search and you only get 1 result, you might want to maybe take one of your ideas away, or maybe try and think of something more broad. So a lot of this is a sort of trial and error process. On this particular search, you've got various options. Most of these appear in pretty much all databases. You have the option again to change your results by creation date. So if I was only interested in the most recent results, I can change that to whatever year I want. And I can change it to peer reviewed. That isn't an option in most databases. Well, it is in some databases to limit it right down. So I'll do that. And now you can see I've got kind of far fewer results. So let's say I wanted to read this article at the top. We sort of access it the same way we do an ebook. You click on the title. And now if you're not logged in, at this point, you won't see this link. So it's really important that you log in. So I'll click onto this, and again, it will open the journal article in a new window. Let's get rid of my Venn diagram. You can see I've got the full article. I've got the option to download the PDF and read it offline, or I can scroll through the article. One trick that I really like when I'm using online resources, and you may know this shortcut already, but on your keyboard, if you hold down the Control key and then the letter F, hang on, I'll type it in the chat, Control plus F, right? I'll do it now, Control and then the letter F, a little box appears in your browser, and this is a find option. So if you are looking at a journal article or a report and you're trying to figure out if it contains a specific phrase or a specific word, you can immediately search within the item that you're looking at. And this Control F works on web pages, it works on PDFs, it works on Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. It's a really useful thing for when you're quickly trying to sort of skim through an article or a report to try and find if there's something relevant before you sort of read the full article. So if I wanted to download that, I just click download PDF. So this is a sort of quick search, but like I say, it's not subject specific. This covers everything from nursing to business to engineering. So on top of a kind of quick search, you'll be looking for specific databases and specific journals. Now, I often get asked, how do you find a specific journal? So not a specific article, just a whole journal. I often speak to new PhD students who have been given a list of journals to look through. And at this point, it can be really tempting to just Google the name of the journal. But again, if this has happened to anyone, please let me know. Often when you Google a journal, you'll find the journal page, you'll find the list of articles, but when you go to click onto it, it will say you don't have access, you need to pay, $40 or whatever, right? If you want to look for a specific journal, the best thing to do is search this A to Z online journals page. And you can basically search in here for the name of any journal. And so, for example, if I do Harvard Business Review, if I go on Harvard Business Review, now you'll probably find anyone that's tried Harvard Business Review, right? You give all your cookies away or whatever, and then it usually says, right, you've got 2 free articles and you've used one, so what are you going to do now? And you think, oh no, I don't know how to access this. So what to do, rather than Googling the journal, pop the name of the journal in this journal search and it will tell you if we have access to it. So if I show you my Harvard Business Review example, you'll see we actually do have access to it. And this is because there's sometimes more than one way to access a journal. So you might have the journal's own website, but the journal articles might also be in specific databases. And if you Google that, Google doesn't find those databases. So we might actually have access to resources that Google doesn't find, which is why it's really important to try and use the library links if you can. So you can click on Harvard Business Review. And for journals especially, it will tell you what years we have access to. So you can see we've actually got Harvard Business Review available from 1922. And it doesn't have an end date, so it's just 1922 to today. So you can click onto this. And now we'll get a slightly different page. So rather than a list of articles, we just have the details specifically for Harvard Business Review. And you can see on the right-hand side, you've got all the years. Obviously, this is going to have quite a lot of issues. You also have the option to search within this specific journal. These buttons kind of live in slightly different places depending on what journal you're using. In this example, it's just above the title. You can search within this publication. So if you only wanted to look within Harvard Business Review, so let's do my example from before. You can see we've got the advanced search again with the boxes, except it's just filled in a box for me, and I'll just leave that. So I'm going to write leadership skills, and I'll do my search. And again, because we've done this through the library and our library link, it will only show you things we have full text access to. So you can see there are 277 articles in Harvard Business Review that mention this idea of leadership skills. And again, you have the PDF full text option to download any of those. So if you have a specific journal that you're looking for, always try this A to Z online journals page first. Because it might be that we don't have access to the journal. It might be that we do, but maybe we don't subscribe to that specific year. A lot of journals have limits. So they, we might subscribe to a journal, but they might say, right, you can't read the most recent 12 months or the most recent 18 months. And I will show you a way to get around that you have as PhD students in just a second. I have had a question about how to review books online, which is a great question and one I didn't cover. You will get a sort of month once you've borrowed any books. So this is only for print books. You don't need to worry about electronic books or PDFs. They don't renew or anything. If you have a print book, you'll get a monthly email reminding you that you have the book, and if you need to bring it back. But you can always come to this library page, click your name, and click My Library Card. Now, I don't think I have any books on loan at the moment, but what you can see is it has an option that says loans. So if you have any books borrowed, they'll come up as a big list here, and there's a renew button that you can click within that to renew your books. So yeah, I really should have a book on loan just as an example. I did have one, but I returned it. So yeah, you click your name, My Library Card. Also, if you've requested any books, you're waiting for a book to come for another campus, you'll find the details in here. Whoops, you can see I've got some requests going on. And I'm sure you'll never have to worry about fines or fees or anything like that. As long as you keep an eye on any emails you get from the library, you'll be absolutely grand on that front. So yeah, I guess the main thing I want to stress is if you have a specific journal, use this search to look for it. Now you might say, well, what about if we don't subscribe to the journal? I've been told to read an article from this journal and I can't get access. What we have in the library is, it's called interlibrary loans. And what that means is if there is a book you need or a journal article that you need that we don't subscribe to, you can let us know the details and we will ask other libraries if they can give us a copy of the book. And as you are research students, this is free for you to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat just now, and I will send it round afterwards to hopefully be emailed around as well, because it's a bit of a kind of slow process to find. So pop it in the chat just now. Okay, and let me click into here. Let me know if you can see this new page. just to check. I had a panic moment there that I was sharing the wrong screen. Whoops, I popped it in as a direct message. Silly me. Hang on. Requesting an article. I have completely misspelled requesting. But what you can do is on this page, you have this request form. I would probably download it as a Word document. I realize you're not going to, I'll show you the PDF version, right? And you basically just have a list of information. And depending on whether you're looking for a book or whether you're looking for a journal article, so if you're looking for a journal article, you just pop in as much information that you know about the item. Same for a book. If you're looking for a book, you can say what campus you'd like to collect it from. If you're looking for a journal article, wherever possible, we just email that straight to you as a PDF. And you basically fill out this form, you send it to our interlibrary loans team, and their email address is just, it's on this page, it's ILLS. Yes, sure, sorry, I popped the email in the chat. I just made a mistake there. I accidentally sent it as a direct message instead of to everybody. But hopefully now I've popped in the chat this link. And the other link you should be able to get you through my day. So feel free to bookmark this. Like I say, you have unlimited requests. I mean, maybe don't request 5,000, but any articles, particularly if it's a brand new article, we don't always have access to those. So it doesn't guarantee that we can always get a copy, but we will try our best. And if we're not able to get a copy for whatever reason, we'll let you know. So I'm in the main sort of library homepage just now, and let me just show you that briefly. So our main library page is just uws.ac.uk/library. So again, I'll pop this in the chat. There we go. There's all sorts of information about the library in here, but there's a specific section I wanted to show you. So there's a sort of section about exploring the library, and there's some tiles. If you go just underneath this, there's this section, it's not very well named, it's about information and digital literacy, but the important option is this library guides button. And again, I'll put this in the chat, but just to show you what this is, we've basically made a whole set of pages about all sorts of different resources available to you. You can change them by subject. So for example, if you wanted to know what guides we've written for business subjects, you can click in here and you'll find resources for specific databases, and also kind of subject guides where we brought together lots of useful resources. So hang on. I'm going to put that in there. And something I wanted to show you on this page, on the right-hand side, we've got an A to Z database list. So if you click onto this, you'll see every single database that we subscribe to in the library. So if you've been told to look for, if you've been told to look at Emerald or something like this, you can come to this A to Z page, click under E, and you'll find Emerald. And again, these are links that we've set up so that they're kind of they should automatically give you the option to sign in as UWS. If you Google these databases, again, they can be in, they can have more than one link just to be confusing. So sometimes if you Google a database, you might not be able to get in, whereas we have sort of specially set up all of these links so that wherever possible, they try and log you in as UWS. Let me pick Emerald as an example because it doesn't always work. So sometimes, especially if you're accessing databases from home, you can run into problems. So the two I have a problem with most frequently, Emerald is one. And if anybody has used Taylor and Francis, which I know is quite a broad journal database, sometimes if you're accessing these resources from home, even if you click through, it might not remember that you're at UWS. So I'm going to show you a trick for how to basically log into databases if you get stuck. So let's say I log in, let's go to Emerald. So Emerald is a sort of business specific guide. Oh, it's remembered me because I'm on campus today. I was hoping it would forget, but If you ever get stuck with a database, it doesn't seem to log you in, the word to look for is institution. That's the key word to find. So you might have to click login and then log in via your institution. Sometimes it might be called sign in via your institution. Sometimes it's like a little picture of like a kind of Greek ruin thing. I don't know why they do it that way, but the key option is the word institution. And when you click on that, you usually get a big list of all the universities that subscribe to this resource. And because we start with a U, we're pretty much always at the very bottom. When you click on that link, you should get the usual page of logging in with your usual UWS details. Let me mess around with mine to show you what it looks like. I'm trying to, let me delete it and show you what that looks like if you do that. So you basically get a page that looks like this, and you would start typing in. And then, so you can't type UWS annoyingly to save time. You have to type out the full thing. So you basically click into here. You can click remember, so you don't have to do this every time. And then it should just take you through. There we go. And you can see on the top of the page, it says University of the West of Scotland. So that's how I know that I'm logged in as the university sort of login. Another one, if I show you, I'm trying to pick databases that a lot of people will use. So another one you may have come across is Sage. Sage is another one where when you try and log in, it can be a bit tricky. Let's see if I can find it. So see, Sage it doesn't have the word institution, it just has this little picture. For some reason, just to make it more complicated. So if you ever get stuck, you want to sign in and it's this institution. And on almost all databases, this is an option. So just to let you know, if you run into any login issues, this is the first thing to try, the institutional login option. So these are all the specific databases. I mean, I'm happy to show you one of those if you prefer. If you want me to go through kind of, they basically all sort of work the same as the one I showed you, the one search with that advanced search option. And you can put together different terms. You can add in date filters. Often you can add in like language filters. And you can sort of add all sorts of filters and put things together as you like. Some other useful ones, you've probably come across Google Scholar. So Google Scholar has pros and cons. The good thing is it looks like Google. It's like familiar and everyone kind of recognizes it, and often it can give you links straight to PDFs. But just be a bit careful with it, because Google Scholar isn't like, no one knows exactly where Google Scholar gets its information from. We don't know how it decides which articles it puts at the top. It's not very clear, whereas when we buy databases like Emerald, we just have a list of journals that we know are in Emerald. So Google Scholar has a much wider range, but it maybe doesn't have the same level of quality all the time. Let me do my example search. You can't do advanced searching on Google, you just kind of have to type in your terms. So I'll just do my broad search again. So you can see this time I got almost 4 million. So I find that no matter what search you do on Google Scholar, you get a lot of results. But something I wanted to show you, when you find an article that is useful, let's say you find an article from 2005 or 2010 or something, and you want to know, well, has somebody written anything more recent on this topic? There is a trick you can use in Google Scholar. So let's look at this one here, right? So this is the Journal of Nursing Management, Leadership Skills for the 21st Century. So, if I click on this, I'll get details of the article, and it tries to give you the PDFs. If you ever get stuck, I recommend going back to what I suggested at the beginning about checking on one search for the journal. But Google Scholar has this cited by button that I often find really useful. So you can click onto this and you will see everybody who has cited this article in their own research. So this is a useful way of finding sort of more recent articles. It doesn't mean they're all relevant. So sometimes they'll be on completely different topics. You can see I've picked quite an old one, but you can see I'm still finding stuff from 2013. So this, especially if you have quite a narrow topic, maybe where not much has been written about it, this cited by button can be a really useful way of finding more recent articles. And of course, the reverse is when you find a useful article, take a look at their reference list. And it can give you an idea of maybe key authors to look for, maybe some specific words to search for that you hadn't come up with initially. So it's a sort of, I guess, iterative process. And as you learn more about the subject and become even more of an expert in it than you already are, you'll sort of know more and more what to search about. So let me put the OneSearch link in. You can also get to this on my day, but I'll put the direct link in here if you prefer. So, right, I realize it's 20 to 12. The other thing I was going to mention was EndNote, which is a bit about reference management. Would anyone like me to look at any of the databases in particular, just to go over what they look like? Or I can give you, I mean, I can't give you lots of information about EndNote, but I can let you know what it is. So I'm happy to spend the rest of the time doing whatever you would find most useful.
I think, Caitlin, if you go over the reference management kind of styles, this would be great, because, you know, it might be some of the people who attending today are kind of first year, so they don't know, they don't have a clue what it is. So if you can give them kind of, you know, a hint of what they are, and if they really need more information, I can have a chat with you, if you know, if we can organize another separate session on only on referencing. This would be, thank you.
So if you give it, what I'll do is I will stop sharing my screen and then I'll share again, but so you can see my whole desktop. So when I open EndNote, you'll be able to see it. So just give me 1 second. So obviously, this project over years, you're going to gather together lots and lots of articles, books, and it might be a bit like, well, how do I keep track of it all? So to do that, I'm hopefully, cool. Yeah, can you all see my library search page again? Just to check that I'm showing you the right screen. Oops, I forgot to press share, never mind. There we go, that's better. So yeah, hopefully you can see the library search screen again, otherwise I'm showing you the completely wrong screen. But what we have is, well, there are various types of reference management software available, and this is basically software that helps you gather your references all in one place. Now, the university we pay for a piece of software called EndNote. So this is the software we offer, like, I guess, official support for. There are other reference management tools available. So the other big names, you may have come across them. There's one called Mendeley, and there's one called Zotero, and they're both free. EndNote is one we pay for and that you have access to during your time at UWS. So just to show you sort of how it works, you basically, on my day, if you click into library, you'll see this EndNote page. And if you click into this, it just gives you details on how to download EndNote. And again, I'm going to put a guide in the chat that talks about this in great detail. But just to show you what EndNote looks like in practice. So when you've got it downloaded, it adds itself to your computer, and it also adds an extra option on Microsoft Word when you're using that, because they sort of work together. Right, everything opens on my other screen, so I have to drag it across. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. So EndNote looks like this. It's basically a giant library, a giant store where you can put together all of your sort of reference details. It doesn't actually build the, you know, references in Harvard referencing yet. It's just a way to keep all of your information together. And then if you're writing a paper, you're writing an article, you can choose what style you want to put the information in. So you can basically chop and change. You don't need to rewrite all your references again if you need to put them in a new style. So there's lots of things that you can do on EndNote, and I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail of all of it. I just want to show you what it does. What you essentially do is when you're looking at a database, if you found an interesting journal article, for example, let me do, what will I do? Let me go back to Emerald, just as an example. This works, the idea is the same for almost all databases. So West of Scotland, and then we wait. I'll try and come back to Bloomsbury Publishing at the end if I have time. So let's just do, whoops, let's do my brief search. I just want things I can see the PDF for. Just doing a sort of random option. And what you can do is when you are on a page like this, maybe you've got 4 or 5 results that you want to get the details for. On most databases, there's this sort of tick. So sometimes it's a tick, sometimes it's a star, and sometimes it's a folder. But you have this sort of icon next to all of the articles, and you can save as many as you want. And once you have decided which ones you want to save the details for, you usually look for the option that says like citation, save, export. Again, all the different databases do it slightly differently. In this one, we have an option called citations. So what we do is we press download, and what happens here is we download a special file. You can see it's downloaded at the bottom of my screen. And this is a file that only reference management software can understand. So when you have EndNote installed on your computer, EndNote can understand this file and understand the reference details. So basically, you click on this file. Gosh, it's pretty windy out here today. I don't know if you can hear it. And basically, all the articles I just ticked have appeared in my EndNote library. So you can click into them and you can see all the details about them. If there's any mistakes, you can type them through and you can make any changes you need to. If there's any spelling mistakes or anything like this, that sometimes happens. You also have the option, you can select the articles and then you can right click and there is a find full text button. So you can click on this and EndNote will try and find the PDF of the article for you. And if it can do it, it will just attach it here and you'll have a little sort of paperclip. So it's going to give it a go. So you can see it's starting to find the journal articles. So you can see little paper clips appearing. If there's one that it can't find, again, that might be one where you use our form and you pop the details in to see if we can get you a copy. So if I click in here, now you can see I've got the details of my reference, but I've also got a PDF in here as well. You don't have to include the PDFs, but it's just if you like keeping everything together. There's a lot of things you can do. You can put your stuff into groups, you can organize them, you can sync them. But just to show you the point of putting all these references in together, once you have references or information in your library, when you open up Microsoft Word, you basically will have a new button. If it opens. So you can see it might be a bit small, but at the top of my screen, I have this EndNote button, and that's because I installed EndNote on my computer. So if I was writing up a paper, so never think of a good example. Let me zoom in, so it's a bit bigger. So if you wanted to put your in-text citation here, you would click onto EndNote, and then you have this option to insert the citation. So you click on this, and then you have to find some information about the reference. So when you're doing this, you'll know what references you want to add, whether it's the year or the author's name or a word from the title. So let me do leadership because that was what I searched for before. So you can see the 4 articles I just put in my EndNote library are here, all about leadership. So let's say I want to put this top article in my paper. So I'll click insert. And what it does is it makes both halves of the reference for me. So it does the in-text citation at the top there, and then it starts automatically building a bibliography as well. So you can see here, I've got the full details of the article, and it automatically does all the formatting, putting things into italics, putting things the right way round. And what's quite useful about EndNote is that you can change this to any style. So, I've got it as Cite Them Right Harvard, which is the UWS style. But let's say you were writing for something else and they wanted you to use, I don't know, a numbered style, or Vancouver or whatever. You can basically pick another style and it just flips it round. You don't need to rewrite the whole thing. It just takes the information from EndNote and changes it into whatever format is useful for you. So that's, I guess, the sort of key use for EndNote, to kind of keep your references together so you don't have like 15 folders of all the stuff you're reading. You can keep it all in one place. And also that when you are actually putting your assignments and your papers together, even your thesis together, this sort of can help take away some of the stress of referencing. I mean, you still need to be able to look through the reference, and if there's a mistake, kind of go and correct it. You can add all sorts of details into EndNote, but this is, I guess, the sort of main idea. So if it's something you're interested in kind of learning more about or having a one-to-one about, feel free. Our email address, like I said, is just library@uws.ac.uk, and you can kind of set up a one-to-one appointment, or if there's a group of people that would like the information, we can do that as well.
I think I do believe that they will need a session. It might be many people interested to do so, because, for example, when I have done mine, it was years and years. I'm not going to tell you how many years. So of course these kind of things were not available. So I think I will contact you to have another session on referencing style, which will be I think will add value to all of them. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. Just one thing to note. Again, this might be something that you're aware of, but you might not know. You have free access to Microsoft Office, so the latest version of Microsoft Office. I was speaking to somebody on Monday, and she was using Word 2008, which was making it quite difficult for her to open articles. So just to let you know, if you go to office.com and log in with your university details, you'll see all your interesting information. But on the right-hand side, there's this Install Office button, and you can use this to download Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, Excel, right? And you have all that available to you for free for the duration of your course, just so you know. I find this really useful. So you'll have this the whole time you're at UWS. You can have the latest Office programs on your computer, just if anybody didn't know that. Yeah, Oliver, all the reference management systems are, I think they all have a sort of learning curve. You don't look at it once and go, right, I know how to use this. They're all, even with EndNote there in that short example, there's some quite complicated stuff. So when you're using it for the first time, it's like, oh. But EndNote is the one we can sort of help out with the most here at the library, because it's the one we're sort of trained to help with. I mean, I would also say there's lots and lots of information online on all of these resources. Like there's lots and lots of YouTube videos. What I'll do now is, again, I'll put this in the chat and I'll email it afterwards. We made a guide all about EndNote because we know it's difficult to start with. So let me put this in here. And again, I will send this to Abir afterwards to go in the chat. So there you go, you have a specific guide all about EndNote, but we can arrange a session to talk about that specifically as well. Fabulous. Right. Let me check very briefly. Somebody had requested to look at Bloomsbury referencing. So Bloomsbury referencing, Bloomsbury. What was the question? Sorry, was it Bloomsbury Publishing? So I don't know if we have Bloomsbury Publishing as like a standalone website. It might be one that you sort of come across in other bigger kind of index sites like Taylor and Francis and whatnot, just because the only one we've got is kind of music and sound. We do have a couple of trial Bloomsbury things at the moment. There's one specifically about fashion business cases but that's the sort of only one that I know of that we have at the moment. But Fatma, if I'm wrong and there's something else you want to check, please let me know. And for now, I will stop sharing my screen. And yeah, I hope that wasn't too much to go over in one go.
So good. It was so good.
But yeah, if anyone has any questions. Oh, Fatma, yeah, I'll speak to you about that afterwards, because that's a trial resource that we only have for 60 days. It's a little bit different to our usual ones. It's one we're testing out to decide if we want to keep it.
Any questions, guys? Sure, we will invite Caitlin again for referencing style. Yeah.
Well, it might not be me. Just to let you know, I am leaving the university at Easter.
Oh.
Just to let you know, but that's why I always recommend emailing the library email address.
Okay.
But don't worry, I'm still here until Easter.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Any questions, guys?
Hello, hi, it's Olive.
Oh,
hi. Thank you so much. Your presentation was so helpful, but I wanted to add on, most of the times I don't know if it is my problem, but I normally miss the emails for such a presentation, especially in Teams. We don't receive the emails. And again, I don't know why in Mendeley, I have been using Mendeley, and whenever I try to cite with Mendeley, it messes a mess in my work. Like it draws boxes, shows that I have used the software. I don't know what causes that.
yeah, so is it sort of, just to check, because the thing with referencing software is it's only as good as the information it can find. So sometimes if the database or the PDF doesn't have all the information that Mendeley needs, sometimes it puts it into Mendeley, but it's got mistakes in it, and it has things in the wrong place. And that's when you sort of need to manually go through and sort of check what it's doing, basically.
Thank you so much.
You know, like I say, the one we support the most at the library is EndNote, but that doesn't mean you have to use it. Like I say, Mendeley and Zotero is the other free one. You're totally welcome to use whatever you like. But yeah, there's support for all of them out there, but EndNote is the one we can offer the most support on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Okay, before we leave, if you please could let me know how did you find the session today as usual. This will be great.
And yeah, Fatma, I will send you a separate email about accessing the Bloomsbury fashion one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Abir and Kathleen, for this informative session.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I will
as usual, Dr. Abir.